So it looks like this Tory Lanez trial, in which he's being accused of shooting Megan Thee Stallion, is not so open and shut. We have to talk about day one of what went down at the Tory Lanez trial, including, was Tory Lanez actually the gunman? Welcome back to the Kempire Daily YouTube channel, your #1 source for pop culture news and music, entertainment, reality TV, and so much more. As always, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on breaking news when we go live or when we upload. So like any trial, we're not going to cover every single detail of this trial, only when the pertinent information comes out. So yesterday was day one of this Tory Lanez trial. If you've been following this story, there's been a lot of speculation as to what happened on this fateful night. Well, both the prosecutor and Tory Lanez defense team painted very different pictures yesterday in the courtroom. And I will be highlighting some legal experts that have been covering and were actually in the court yesterday for this trial. Shout out to our friends over at No Jumper on Twitter. They were watching and following this trial yesterday as well and giving us some points to make mention. So I'm just going to summarize some of what they were talking about. So a lot of us probably feel like this Megan Thee Stallion situation is open and shut. But based off of what the prosecutors presented in their opening statements, you would think that. Well, when Tory Lanez's defense team spoke, they painted a very different picture. So let me just kind of go through some things before we even get into those details. So No Jumper on Twitter posts this, just giving us an idea of what does the jury look like? You know, what did it look like when things first began? So they first start off with saying this, that Tory Lanez arrived at the courtroom holding his son's hand. They also say that after months of speculation, it's been confirmed that Tory Lanez and Kelsey Nicole, Megan Thee Stallion's best friend, or former best friend, both tested positive for gunshot residue. They continue and say this, Megan Thee Tory Lanez trial day one, the jury consists of this: 4 men, 12 women, 4 black jurors, 1 older black guy in his mid-60s, 2 older black women in their mid-60s, 1 black woman in late 20s. So a quick overview of the prosecution's opening statements on day one of this case. So they just basically say this. The prosecutors opened with, "Dance bitch, that's what the defendant said," before firing 5 shots at Megan Thee Stallion. Tory and Megan argument escalated after Megan called Tory's music trash. And I know you probably saw some of these tidbits on social media yesterday, and you're like, really? This is why? But I told you, the Napoleon complex. Anyways, we'll focus. Prosecutors refute the love triangle story. They continue. They say prosecutors allege after Megan called Tory's music trash, she exited out of the vehicle and Tory exited too. Tory then shouted, "Dance bitch," and fired 5 shots, emptying the clip. Megan was hit in both feet. They also say that while bleeding, Megan limped for cover at a resident nearby. You've seen the video footage of this as well. Prosecutor says that Kelsey, Megan's then best friend, followed Megan to help her. At this time, Tory began to walk towards Megan and Kelsey. Kelsey approached Tory to stop him from approaching. When Kelsey approached him, prosecutors say that Tory punched Kelsey and pulled her to the ground by her hair. Prosecutors allege that Tory Lanez then demanded that they both get back in the SUV. Megan and Kelsey complied with his wishes. When they got back in the car, Kelsey sent a text message to Megan's security guard, Justin Edison, quote, "Help, Tory shot Meg, 911. So they continue and say this. They say, prosecutors introduced evidence that showed Kelsey sent a text to Megan's bodyguard alleging Tory shot Meg 5 minutes after residents called 911 reporting they'd seen and heard shots coming from a black SUV. When the police pulled over the SUV Tory and Meg was in, they located a, quote, warm firearm in a, quote, slide lock position, which indicates every bullet in the firearm had been used. Prosecutors played audio of Tory calling from a jail to Kelsey. He apologized profusely. Keep in mind, in this apology, at no time does Tory admit to shooting Meg Thee Stallion. Okay, so this is what the defense will later play out. They go on to say this. It says prosecutors introduced 3 pieces of evidence. Tory apologized to Kelsey from jail and blamed his actions that night on being drunk. 2, Tory sent a text message apologizing to Megan Thee Stallion. 3, Tory allegedly apologized to Megan Thee Stallion's bodyguard, Justin Edison. So I'm sure you're probably wondering, why does Kelsey have gun residue on her? The prosecutors say this. They offered an explanation of why gun residue was on both Tory Lanez and Kelsey. They allege that Tory Lanez shot the firearm, but Kelsey tested for GSR because she was next to Tory when he shot the firearm, and he got on her when he assaulted her. Well, now, in all fairness, so the prosecutors really opened as if this is an open and shut case. Well, then the defense, Tory's defense team, paints a very different picture. They say this. The defense called out the prosecutors for skipping and not mentioning Meg Thee Stallion, quote, drunken, jealous tirade that led to Kylie Jenner kicking her out of the party. Why are the Kardashians always at this damn situation? Well, according to a lawyer on TikTok, he says that Corey Gamble, Kris Jenner's boyfriend, will also be testifying in this case. And the prosecution says that Kelsey will be testifying that Tory Lanez shot Meg Thee Stallion. So back to this. So they say this. They say that when Meg got kicked out of Kylie's party, Tory left with her. On the ride home, Tory and Meg started arguing, and Kelsey sided with Megan. Tory then exposed Megan, had an intimate relationship with him behind Kelsey's back to get Kelsey to turn on Megan. It worked. Kelsey then told Tory, oh, she always does this. Then she told Tory that Megan had an intimate relationship with the baby and Ben Simmons behind Kelsey's back after Kelsey began dating both men. Okay, this is just a prosecution. I know a lot of you are like, that's not true. That's not. This is what the prosecution is doing. This is what they're supposed to do in trying to paint a different picture. So they said this confession escalated Megan and Kelsey's own argument. The defense alleges that Megan demanded that the SUV is pulled over moments later. She hopped out, went over to Kelsey's side of the vehicle, and began to beat up Kelsey. A witness, Sean Kelly, owner of the resident the SUV was parked by, told police he witnessed this. Witnessed 2 women arguing. So this case is not so open and shut, but I do want to play a little bit of what this lawyer that I found on TikTok was talking about when it comes to his view of the judge in this case, the prosecution and how they presented their case, and what he thinks of the defense team and if they're doing their job.
The defense's point is what happens in the car is this. Tory questions Kelsey. Hey, Kelsey, why are you backing up Meg for me trying to, get it on with Kylie Jenner? Meg has been snaking men from you your whole life. I hooked up with you, Kelsey, and then Meg went behind your back and hooked up with me. And, Kelsey, this is not the first time. You had been hooking up with Ben Simmons. Meg went behind your back and hooked up with Ben Simmons. You had been hooking up with the baby. Meg went behind your back and hooked up with the baby. And so the defense starts dropping all these grenades. The crowd is captivated. The jury's like, oh, what's going on? And there's every reason to believe that there could have been a fight here, not between Tory and Meg, but between Meg and Kelsey. And the shooting could have not been Tory. It could have been done by any one of the other people in that car. What does all of this mean? Well, I'll tell you a couple things. First, Corey Gamble, Kris Jenner's husband, is going to testify, so this will continue to be must-see TV. 2, the judge is terrific. I expect a very fair trial. The lawyers on the defense side are terrific. I don't know what the government lawyer was doing, giving an opening presentation that made it seem like the most open and shut case ever, when in fact there are huge questions, including an eyewitness who saw 2 women fighting, suggesting that you have to explain that theory to the jury, and you didn't. So I don't love the prosecution's opening in that regard.
So we're going to continue to follow this story because I know a lot of us just automatically said, you know what, Tory, you're going to jail. However, it really is very important on if the prosecution does their job in presenting all the facts, and does the defense refute that properly. This is just the day one. Like I said before, we're not going to follow every single detail of this case unless there's pertinent information that comes out. I wanted to just give you a quick synopsis of what happened in day one. And per usual, let's have a healthy, constructive conversation in the comment section. Guys, as always, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on breaking news when we go live or when we upload. Thanks for watching.